Baltimore bridge collapse. I got this news this morning, and I was like, whoa. Let me bring y'all up to speed of what's happening over in Baltimore.
This morning, a stunning bridge collapse at the Port of Baltimore.
The entire Key Bridge is in the harbor.
The Francis Scott Key Bridge plunging into the water overnight after it was hit by a cargo container ship.
I wanted to know what the bang was. Ship hit the Key Bridge, sinking. The bridge is gone. Holy hell.
Video shows smoke coming from the ship before it hit the bridge. The bridge is normally a major artery spanning the Patapsco River, and though the collapse happened in the early morning hours, 1:30 a.m., video shows cars crossing moments before the ship hits. The traffic then paused, but vehicles were still on the bridge as it then crumbled into the water. Fire department and Coast Guard teams rushed to the scene, rescuers searching the water overnight.
Still very much in an active search and rescue posture. Our sonar has detected the presence of vehicles submerged in the water.
The ship is an almost 950-foot container vessel called Dolly, headed from Baltimore to Sri Lanka. The Synergy Marine Corporation saying it collided with the bridge pillar, and all of its crew members, including the two pilots, have been accounted for. The ship reportedly lost power while in the water. This morning, with the sun rising, search teams continue looking for any survivors in the water as the Baltimore area reels from a major collapse.
Tom, we know that there were vehicles in the water, as that official pointed out. The weather is very cold, so if there are survivors who are still in the water, how long can they safely remain in those cold temps?
Yeah, 40, 45 degrees on the water, 32 degrees outside right now where we are. We checked with the University of Minnesota Duluth, and they're saying at about 7 minutes, if you're in the water, you start to have exhaustion. And then you may have, if you're lucky, if you've got a flotation device, if you've got the right gear, you might be able to survive for an hour. So we are.
Can you imagine driving across that bridge at the time that you see a ship collide with the bridge itself, and then you just plunge into the water? You first got to get out of the truck or get out of the car that you was driving, and then you got to try to swim and survive. Assuming that you have some kind of flotation device, you may survive for about an hour. Wow, it's crazy.
Now, several hours, almost 6 hours into this episode, survivability is really potentially very, very challenging. But overhead, helicopters continue to search the water for any signs of survivors. And this is an all-hands-on-deck effort in terms of Baltimore and Maryland state authorities and surrounding counties all sending mass resources into this area, trying to find anybody who might be in the water.
Let's talk, Tom, if we could, about this cargo ship itself. Earlier, you and I were on the air. We could not even make out in the dark whether the ship was still afloat. We now see that it is. We've been told by authorities that the crew remains on the ship, including presumably the pilot of this vessel. What is the investigation going to look like now? As I understand it, by law, you have to, if you're traveling these very complex waters of in and around the Baltimore Harbor and the Chesapeake Bay, you have to have a local marine pilot on because it is so complex.
Yeah.
If we can even roll the video, Tom. In the moments before it hits this structure, this key part of the pylon of the bridge's structure, the ship looks dark. It looks like it's lost power.
Yeah, it looked like it lost power.
Yes, and there was one report that it had, in fact, lost power. The fire department chief is saying that they will not put people on board that ship until they do a full damage assessment to determine how safe it is. And then they've got to evacuate the crew and determine how seaworthy the vessel is. However, at the moment, it seems to be fine. The NTSB will actually be running the investigation into how this happened. But I must say, the locals here are stunned that this ship would, first of all, crash into one of these pylons. Again, we don't know if they had control of the ship. And secondly, stunned that this bridge would be so vulnerable to collapse with the ship hitting a pylon. Just a whole series of questions that you can imagine the entire city is asking. I would make the point we are right up against, very close to I-95, that critical north-south corridor on the East Coast. I-95 is open. 695, however, is closed. And so if you are planning to come up and down the East Coast, be aware that the area around Baltimore is going to be really, really trying and problematic just in terms of traffic. And the port of Baltimore itself, one of the busiest in the country, is going to be reeling from this and trying to determine how safe it is to move ship traffic in and out.
Live pictures out of Baltimore as the sun's coming up. Tom, the Francis Scott Key Bridge perhaps totally collapsed this morning, a 1.5 mile thoroughfare right around Baltimore City.
Hey, that's crazy. Let me go over into a different report really quickly to give you guys the most recent update on whether or not they found any survivors.
Good morning. The Coast Guard is still actively searching at this time. We are using response boat crews from 2 of our local Coast Guard stations, one of our helo crews from an air station in Atlantic City, and also one of our cutter crews on one of our 87-foot patrol boats. We will continue to work with our local, state, and federal partners during this tragedy. Thank you.
Governor, can you say at this point, is all traffic in and out of the harbor stopped at this point?
Governor, as far as you are aware, was the collapse of that bridge inevitable as that ship hit that part of the bridge?
No, we're still in the process of investigating exactly what happened, so we don't have any further details about whether or not it was inevitable or not.
But no structural issue with the bridge?
No, there was. In fact, the bridge was actually fully up to code, so we have no further information about what happened in that time.
Governor, is all shipping?
One of the reasons they got to be careful with how they answer this question is because obviously I believe that it's going to be a lot of lawsuits that come out of this whole situation. That's the number one. Well, first and foremost, we got to say prayers out to the family of the people that fell into the water. Based off of reports that I'm looking at right now, it looks like 4 people are still missing. 2 have been rescued. Countless damage, probably hundreds of millions, maybe even over $1 billion worth of damage with the bridge itself. We don't know exactly what happened. You're not going to know exactly what happened throughout this process, and they're going to be very careful with what information that they share because we know, you know that I know that we know that there's going to be a lot of lawsuits, and I hope whoever these insurance companies are that, and I can't imagine that the lawsuits will be as a result of the city, right? Because one of the things that he just said was that it's recently been reported that the bridge itself had inspections and it's been up to code. And so it's not the bridge's fault or the column's fault for collapsing as a result of the cargo ship from running into it. However, that's not going to stop people from filing lawsuits depending on who it is that's affected as a result of this and what family member has been. I think that even the people that's been rescued is probably going to file lawsuits. That's inevitable because that's what probably I would do, and I'm sure that other people would do it that's watching this show also. But I'm sure that whoever it is that's insuring this cargo ship is going to be paying out big dog money. Big dog money, and so they got to be very careful with what information that they share because this is a lawsuit that's waiting to happen. They probably already started contacting lawyers. Or rather, lawyers have probably already tried to start finding and contacting the family. Ambulance chasers, I like to call them.
Out of the port now, stopped completely, and do you have any estimate very early on as to how long it will be before shipping can resume to the port of Baltimore?
Yeah, we don't have any estimates on timeline because right now our exclusive focus is on saving lives. Our exclusive focus.
Shout
is on
out to Aunt Mean from Royal Oak Mission.
Governor, could you give us a better sense for the number? Because we'd heard, I know Mr. Wiedefeld said 1 had been rescued, but earlier from Baltimore we heard that 2 had been rescued. Can you tell us the total numbers we're talking about that maybe that you're searching for, and how many have been rescued?
Well,
there are 8 individuals. 6 are being searched for right now.
Oh, okay. So it was 8. So 6 people have not been found yet. 2 people, you said it's not up to code. Maryland branches are not up to code. I wonder why you would say that. Maybe protecting the city and protecting the bag. And I'm sure that he's probably been briefed prior to actually jumping on TV. He's saying that 8 people, 6 of them is still being searched for. 2 apparently has been rescued. Let's see what else he has to say.
One is was taken to the hospital, and one is not in the hospital that we're speaking to.
So 6.
Oh, heck no. Listen, let me tell you something. You're not going to rescue me, and I'm going to be in good condition. Nope. Nope. Listen, if you rescue me, I'm going straight to the hospital. Don't pass go. Don't do nothing. If you rescue me, I don't care what condition that I'm in. I can have a little cold shiver. I'm going straight to the hospital, and I might even cut myself a little bit. My neck ain't the same that it used to be. My nerves ain't the same. My mental state, my mental health is broken. And I'm not sure if I'll ever be able to recover, but I'm hoping that I can get that Tracy Morgan money. I need that Tracy Morgan money. I need that Tracy Morgan Lamborghini SVJ money. I need that. I want my $30 million, $40 million, $50 million, $60 million money 100% of the time. And I'm going to get the best lawyers that money can buy. And there is no lawyer on the face of this earth that is not going to take this case.
Yes.
And does that involve individuals that may have been in vehicles that went in the water? Or is that just the construction? No.
We believe it's a construction crew.
What about
So we don't think there's anyone in vehicles in the water?
No, we do not believe so.
Okay, what's that question? Right here. Take this question here.
Governor, two questions. How quickly did you find out about what happened here, and what was your reaction when you heard the scale?
You thought that Baltimore was going to be selling houses for $1? I'm going to own every house in Baltimore.
Well, I mean, I think it was probably within minutes of everything, less than an hour, when I know that my phone first rang. And, first from the mayor of Baltimore and also from our chief of staff. And it was, we know the Key Bridge. I've ridden over the Key Bridge countless times. So many of us know the Key Bridge because it is our normal commute. This is a place that is a normal commute route for over 30,000 Marylanders every single day. And so to hear the words that the Key Bridge has collapsed, it's shocking and heartbreaking. And
how important is this bridge in order for people to be able to basically do normal commutes on a regular basis? Is there any other route that people would normally use as far as getting to and from and back and forth? I'm trying to understand how impactful this is. That's what I'm really trying to understand.
And immediately, the first thought and the first ideas go back to what happened to the people, what was the impact on human life. But for every single one of us who are Marylanders, the words that the Key Bridge is gone, it still shakes us, because for 47 years, that's all we've known. And so this is not just unprecedented from what we're seeing and what we're looking at today. It's heartbreaking.
That's crazy. So, prayers up to everybody over in Baltimore and the families that is affected by what's going on. I hope that everybody is found safe. Chances are it's probably not going to be the case if we're just being realistic about this thing. But very, very sad news that I did not expect to wake up to today. But certainly unfortunate. Very, very unfortunate of what's happening over there in Baltimore and Maryland. As though the city needed another black eye and another thing that they had to deal with. I know the Baltimore, Maryland, I know Baltimore City is like, yo, why did I even sign up for this position in the first place? But like I said, I think that it's unfortunate. There's really no words. So I'm going to stay on top of that. I'm going to keep you guys informed of what's going on over with the bridge.